Good morning, students. I am Mrs. Nell for Mathematics 12, and this is for the assignments that you are going to hand in. Mathematics is everything. We can't just say we are going to study, for example, graphs. We have to study everything, and we know that every sum is different from another one. So we need to know our laws and rules and formula. That's the basics that we have to do. Right, the first is always numbers. So know your numbers. They are the complex numbers, the real numbers, and imaginary numbers. Look at the examples. And the irrational numbers as well as the rational numbers. And the integers and the fractions. Right, look at your examples and you will know what we are talking about. So that's the classification of numbers. Again, still numbers, negative numbers, and the counting numbers, the natural numbers, starting from 1, and then we have 0, then we have 1 and the prime numbers, and the composite numbers. The square numbers, for example, 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. And 4, for example, 2 times 2, and 9, 3 times 3, 16, 4 times 4, 25, which is 5 times 5. And then the cube numbers. The number 3 times multiply itself. For example, 1, because 1 is 1 times 1 times 1. And 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, 27, 3 times 3 times 3, and 125, 5 times 5 times 5. So 3 times multiply itself. That's the cube numbers. Then the relationship between the natural numbers. There are the factors, explanation and the example and the method. The explanation, a number that will divide exactly into the given number. For example, the factors of 12. 1 divides into 12 as well as 2 as well as 3, 4 as well, and 6 and 12. And then the method, 1 times 12 and 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. Every time it gives us 12. The prime factors, the product of the prime factors, the factors of a number which are also prime numbers. The prime factors of 12 are 2 and 3. 12 is the product of the prime factors, 2 times 2 times 3. And use the prime numbers as divisors, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. The prime factors we can divide into 12. So 2 divides in, 2 divides in again, then 3 will divide in, and 3 will divide into 3 one time. So that's the relationship between the natural numbers. Then we have the multiples. The multiples, for example, the multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12. So we count in threes. Every time we add 3. Number 4, what is the LCM? The lowest common multiple. For example, the lowest common multiple of 12 and 8 are 24. So multiply the method, 12. 12 will divide in, and plus 12 plus 12 plus 12. So 12 plus 12 is 24, plus 12 is 36. Then we have 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. And 16 plus 8 is 24. So what is the same? The 24. So that is the lowest common multiple of 12 and 8. Number 5, what is the highest common factor? That's a small number. The highest common factor of 12 and 15. The factor method, we have 12 and 1 divides into 12, 2 divides in, 3 divides in, and so we carry on. 15, 1 will divide in, 1 divides in every number, and 3 and 5 and 15. Okay, what is common? What is the same? The 3. And every time you will see there are some examples that you can do on your own. The sequences, that's a pattern of numbers. 1, 4, 9, 16. So there we see the term n, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the formula for the nth term is n square. So we say 1 square is 1 times 1 is 1 at the top. 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 times 3, which is 9. And 4 times 4, which is 16. There you see the sequences. 2, 4, 6, 8. Every time we add 2. Then we have 2. Then we go back to minus 1 to minus 4 to minus 7. So we subtract 3 every time. So we can answer and fill in the next 3 terms. The next sequence is 3, 12, 48, 192. How do we get to the next answer every time? We multiply by 4. And then we have 60, 30, 15, 7.5. What do we do to get this? We divide by 2 every time. So we carry on and divide by 2. Luckily we have calculators to work it out. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. What do? We add the previous 2 terms. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 gives us 5. And 3 plus 5 will give us 8. Then we have the squares and the square roots and the cubes. Square is x square. Square root, there you see the sign, the symbol. For example, 36, the root. Square root of that is 6. The cube, x to the power 3. For example, 4 to the power 3 is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. There you can see how we can use it on the calculator. Directed numbers. We have the negative numbers and the positive numbers. And working with negative and positive numbers, add the numbers and keep the sign. When we have at number B, the signs are different, then we subtract the numbers and take the sign in front of the big number. For example, 3 minus 8 will give us minus 5. When we multiply, then or divide, then with the even numbers or even amounts, we have a positive. The odd amount, then we have a negative. There are some examples, practical examples. You can go through these examples. Then we have the vulgar and decimal fractions and percentages. There you see the vulgar fraction, 1/4, decimal, there's a comma or a point, and percentages, right? 1 decimal place, for example, 0,3. We can put it over 10. And number 2, 2 decimal places, so 0,25, put over 100. And 3 decimal places, 0,125, we put it over 1,000. And then we can simplify. The ordering ascending is from small to bigger. Descending is from big to small. And standard forms, how do we write this? Very small numbers, for example 0, and a lot of zeros, 25. So it is 25 times 10 to the power negative 6. Very big numbers, then it's 2,5 times 10 to the power 6, or 8 in this case. There are rules, BOT, mass. The order of operations. First we work with the brackets, then we multiply, or of. And of means we multiply. D stands for divide, M is multiplication, A is addition, and S is for subtract. Right, we do that like this. The ratio and the proportion and the rate. What are ratios? There are different calculations. We simplify, we divide, we increase or decrease, and given the ratio and one outcome. Number 2, you see the proportion, direct proportion is a straight line, straight. The inverse, indirect proportion, is a graph like this one. There you see that. The rate, numbers with different units are compared, for example, speed is kilometers per hour, or fuel consumption, kilometers per liter. Remember that there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour, not 100. So remember this, 60, 60. Percentages, I think we all know how to work with percentages. You can go through your examples, the increase or decrease. Increase when it becomes more and decrease when it becomes less. Measurements, measures. Length, we work with kilometers and meters and centimeters, millimeters. Area is square, like kilometers square or square kilometers, square meters, square millimeters. And the volume is cube, so m to the power 3. Centimeters to the power 3, millimeters to the power 3. And volume, remember that 1 liter is 1000 milliliters. 1 milliliter will be 1 cubic centimeter. 1 liter in cubic centimeters. The area, 1 hectare, is 10,000 square meters. And mass, do you remember about the 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram, and 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. Time, remember about the 60, and morning is AM, afternoon is PM. Midnight, 12 o'clock. Midday, 12 o'clock in the day. Midnight, in the night. Money, simple interest, we have the principal times the rate times the time. That's your interest over 100. The compound is A is equal to P in brackets 1 plus the rate over 100 M. Right, there we have expressions and equations. There you see the expressions, the like terms, the unlike terms, the rules for the basic 4 operations. You add or you subtract or multiply or divide. That's what's so easy in mathematics. You just have to add or subtract or multiply or divide. Division, the like and the unlike terms can be divided. We subtract the exponents of like bases and to divide the numbers. When we have manipulation, multiply the product, so 2 times in brackets A plus 3, then we multiply 2 times A will be 2A, and 2 times 3, which gives us 6. When we factorize, there are 4 different types. We have the common factor, we have the difference, we have the trinomials, and we have the grouping. I think we all know the common factors and the difference between 2 squares. You can look at the examples there. Trinomials, then we have 3 terms, as you can see there, and how we can group to add or subtract, or to take out the different common factors. Then we have equations, linear equations. There's 1 unknown, and quadratic equations, b, which is x squared. There you see that one. Linear equations, number 1. Okay, I think we all know this. And when we have 2 unknowns, we have 2 equations, and there are 3 methods: substitution, elimination, and then we can draw a graph. When we draw a graph, this is a straight line graph. You use a pencil and a ruler, plot the points, and draw your graph right over your whole paper. and label your graph, because sometimes you have 2 or 3 graphs on one pair of x's. Quadratic equations. There are 2 methods. We factorize, or we must know the formula. Learn your formula and how to use it. The formula says x is equal to minus b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And here we must work very accurately. You can easily make a mistake. And please use a ruler to draw your lines, because it's a long sum that you have to do. When you are solving linear inequalities, it's greater than or smaller than. There's an example that you can go through. In the middle, you can see the only difference if you divide by a negative number, for example minus 12, the sign greater than changes to smaller than. And the second one, or invert a fraction. So you must make a fraction. Indices, you know the rules. Study your rules. I'm not going to go through all of them. Hopefully you still remember this. Then we have graphs in a practical situation. The graph is given and some questions are asked from the graph. So you read your answers of your graph. And look at your graphs, they are always neat, and the intervals between your values are the same. For example, between 0 and 20 and 20 and 40, 40 and 60. It must be the same intervals. Kinematics, distance over speed times time. So distance is equal to speed times time. And speed will be distance divided by time. If you have to find the time, it is distance divided by speed. Okay, there's some example where you can look through. The graphs and the functions, we all know the straight line graphs. If they are parallel and perpendicular lines, look at the graphs given there. If you have curved graphs, there you see the quadratic equations. Y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. If a is positive, it looks like a smiling face. So it's a positive person. If it's negative, your a is negative, then you have a face like that one, upside down. Hyperbola, there you see the graphs, the cubic graphs and the other curves. Cartesian, the coordinates, always your x value first and then your y value. Your straight line graph is y is equal to mx plus c, where y is the intercept. The y-intercept is at c, or the value of c, for example minus 3. Your gradient is your m, and it's most of the time positive or negative, a fraction. There you see a curved graph example, how we find the x is given, but the y you have to work out. And then you draw your graph, you plot your points. It's a smooth curve drawn with a pencil by hand. Don't draw it with a ruler and never with a pen. And label your graph. Alright, it's neatly done. Trigonometry. There are 3 figure bearings. We always start from north, 360 degrees or 0 degrees. If you go straight to the one side, it's 90 degrees. Straight down, it's 180 degrees, and when you go to the left, it's 270 degrees. We work clockwise. Triangles, we all know triangles and the ratios, sin, cos, tan, sukatwa, as you remember. The angles of elevation and depression, when you are looking up from the horizontal, and when you have depression, you look downwards from the horizontal. Right, look at your pictures there. When you solve problems in 3 dimensions, Look carefully, you must be able to see. It is the angle between a line and a plane. There are the solutions, how we find it. We can use sin or tan or cos. In these cases, all of them are tan. How to find that? And there are still is the angle between two planes. Find the angle between the planes this, and the height of the pyramid is 5 centimeters. So if you have to find the first one, it's tan G 5/3. And so we can carry on. So look at those examples there. The angles between 90 and 360 degrees. At A, on your cast diagram, all the numbers will be positive. And sin will be positive. Tan will be positive. Cos will be positive. Right, so we go from 0 up to 90 degrees, and then from 90 to 180, from 180 down to 270, and from that one again back to 360 or 0. So we start from X. There's your cast diagram. A, C, S, T. Geometrical terms and angle properties. We know what the point is, a line. There you see the parallel lines, the perpendiculars, bearings, starting from north clockwise. The different angles. Learn your angles. It's in the exam papers most of the time. It might also be in your assignment. Learn it, study this, the right angle, acute angle, obtuse angle, or your straight angle, straight line, and your reflex angle. And you must know how to spell those angles as well. Congruency, they have the same shape and the same size. Similarity, then they have the same shape but not the same size. Alright, as you can see there. The angle properties. I'm sure you still remember this from junior school, revolution, straight lines, vertically opposite angles, complementary angles, when they add up to 90 degrees, and supplementary angles, they add up to 180 degrees. There we see the alternate angles corresponding, co-interior. And the triangles, I'm sure you still remember your triangles. Exterior angles, the isosceles triangle, also the spelling, equilateral triangle. There are the quadrilaterals, the rectangle, squares, rhombus, parallelogram, trapezium, kite. You must study those properties. And the polygons, how many sides they have, how many angles. There we see the interior angles. The sum is n minus 2 times 180. And the exterior angles, for all the figures, it is 360 divided by n. Angles in a circle. Study these properties as well, because when you have to work on circles, you fill in all the answers that you know. And you can work on the diagram that you have. The angle in a semicircle is 90 degrees. The angle between the tangent and the radius is 90 degrees, as you can see there. And the angle at the center of a circle is double, or twice the angle at the circumference of the circle. Right. There you see the different angles in the same segments are equal. Like angle ADB and angle ACB will be equal. In a cyclic quadrilateral, cyclic in a circle, quadrilateral, 4 sides. There you see this, 100 plus 80 makes 180. Angles in opposite segments are supplementary. Okay, and two tangents from the same point are equal. There you see this angles in a circle. You work out what you've got on your diagram, knowing your rules. Mensuration, we know all the triangles, square, rectangle, rhombus and the parallelogram. How to find the area. Study these formula. It is not given in the exams, but still you can look it up in your assignment. It is very important that you study these formula before you go on. Right, so you must study your formula. Volume is equal to area of base times height. The surface areas, so it's the area of the sides that you have to add up. How we find the surface area. That's what SA is standing for, surface area. Symmetry. There are two types of symmetry, the line symmetry and rotational symmetry. Line symmetry, rotation, when we turn, always from 90 degrees. There are figures. It will be best if you can draw your figure in that slot. Isosceles triangle, equilateral, but if you don't know how it looks like, it will be different and difficult. Alright? So study your figures. How many lines they have, how many rotational symmetry they have. Transformations, there are three different types, and those three are always in the exams or in your assignments. Reflection, rotation and enlargement. There are the three, and each of them will always be 2 or 3 marks. Statistics. For example, this one is the results are given, the raw data. You can write in your frequency, making your tally marks, and your frequency you write down. Then you can draw pictures. Like for example, number 1, a bar chart, number 2, a pie chart or a pictogram. Then you see the bar chart, very neatly done. The pie chart, we draw a circle and we work out of 360 degrees. In this case it was out of 36, so size 4 is 5/36 times 360. So then we can work it out like that, and then you work with your protractor and your pair of compasses. So always take that along to the exams. You will have to use it. There is a pictogram. And then when you have statistics, you must be able to work out the mode or the median or the mean. The mode is the number that occurs most often. The median, arrange the numbers in ascending order and then take the number in the middle. And the mean is your average, so you add up all the numbers and divide it by the total frequency. And data, you will get individual data, which is written out, and in the second example it will be in a table. So individual data written out 2, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3. In a table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, very from smallest to biggest, and then the frequency. In this case the mode is 2 in number 1, and the median we write it out from 1, then 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and then the middle is 2 and 3, so 2 up to 3. In the middle of 2 and 3 is 2,5. The mean, we add up all of them and we get 22 divided by 8, the total numbers. And work it out with your calculator. Number 2, in a table, the mode is between 2 and 6. And the median is the middle. The middle is between 16 and 1. So divided by 2, so it is 17 divided by 2, 8,5. And then the mean we work out by saying 1 times 2 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 1 plus 4 times 3 and so on, and divide it by 16 because there are 16 numbers, and then we divide it by 16 to get 3,69. Right, so study everything of your study guide and your books, not only the beginning, and make sure you know your rules, your laws and your formula. Take along your calculator, your ruler, pencil, protractor and pair of compasses. Good luck, it will go well. Start early with your assignment so that you can do it properly, and while you are working on your assignment you are also studying for your exams. It will go well. Mathematics is very easy. Thank you.